The final one that I have chosen, I think Buzuna will talk about it much more than I do, is e-commerce. In a country where you have vast land, and in a country especially where a lot of roads have been built and a lot of micro, small enterprises have been done, we have very little marketplaces for exchanges. Exchanges for goods and services or exchanges for commodities. So if you look at that, I think I jumped early, but so if you look at e-commerce, it can look at unlocking a lot of value for the smallholder farmer because it shortens the value chain. It can unlock a lot of value for the micro, small enterprises because the trade and the commerce can be done within a very short value chain structure. The question then comes to what do we need to create that inclusive digital economy? And what needs to be done? For me, there are three key players and three things that needs to be done. So if this is not working, can somebody move it forward? Okay. So the first thing is enabling environments. How do you create enabling environments? Government is key. Government needs to bring in laws and regulations that understand electronic signatures, that understand and that permit electronic receipts. Government needs to think around a digital inclusive economy can only be created if intellectual properties can be protected. Not only protected, but classified as an asset so that banks can allow people who have created those industries to use them as collateral for financing. In a country which has already biased towards physical collateral, IP is by far removed from a lot of the people in this room. It looks to create capacity, whether it's incubation for the young or whether it's training the workforce with the skills required for digital or disruptive technologies. And lastly but not last, government in Ethiopia owes a lot of data. That data can be relevant to a lot of industries. So one has to think about how do we open up this data in a safe, secure manner so that industries can be created. The second player is the central bank. The central bank needs to think about enabling regulations. And it has to think about if disruptive technologies are to exist within Ethiopia by Ethiopians, a sandbox environment to allow innovation and to allow testing of new products and new services. That's the first pillar that I think is required. But equally, a collaborative ecosystem needs to be created. That collaborative ecosystem needs to have the financial sector, whether it's banks, insurance companies, microfinance institutions, cooperatives, or others, to think about how they can collaborate with the private sector, the technology companies. Government agencies need to say the private sector should have a role and can be the engine for the disruptive technologies to come. So for me, there are two areas, an enabling environment and a collaborative ecosystem. If these two can be addressed and solved, the inclusive digital economy for Ethiopia has a very strong case. Because if you look at every country that has gone through this transformation, it has benefited from it. Philippines, 5 years ago, there were less than 100,000 people that had access to health insurance. Today, over half that population have access to health insurance affordably, paying less than $1 a day or less than 75 cents a day. Kenya, a country that a lot of people refer to, has benefited from mobile digital wallets. India today has the largest commerce ecosystem ever seen China, I don't know if you know a lot of people about Alibaba. The parent of Alibaba last year became the 10th largest financial institution in the world by including over 700 million people into an e-commerce system. So the potentials and the cases are there. The questions remain: what is required to be done and what needs to be done? Thank you very much. And I hope, Speaker, I have done my time right.